Conquering Mom Scrap More with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here with part 2 of the Quilt Carrier. Now you understand probably why I don't like making three-dimensional objects, because this one, we tried our best on part 1, but you had homework. So you're going to come today. There's going to be trimming instructions as to what to trim your parts for, like your body, your bottom and sleeves. This is your body, your bottom and sleeves, your inner pockets, your outer pockets. And I had to make some binding today because I figured, okay, so I'll explain all of this in the show notes as to how much binding and all this stuff that you needed. And I hope you guys, you could either quilt your own, right, by using fabric and blocks out of your stash, or you could have that quilted fabric that they sell in some of the big box stores. You could do either or. I didn't have any of that quilted fabric, so I worked with what I had in my stash. I was very surprised how much fabric it took. But before we get into all of this, let's do our shout out. Chantel at Wild Berry Quilting, the very talented long armer. So if you guys go check her out and go see what she's doing over on her channel, right? And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button for her and tell her Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. She doesn't know the shout out is coming, and I think she'd be quite surprised when she gets a few subscribers. So if you want to share the love and encourage her, that would be awesome. The other thing you're going to find in the show notes, besides her YouTube channel, is going to be our Facebook group, Warm Welcoming Community. We are having so much fun. So if you're part of the Facebook community, you need to come sign up with our Facebook group, because we're having a lot of fun, you know, sharing questions and sharing pictures and asking for ideas. And we have a community, all the different community chats that are available. Such as, like, there's a free recipe one now started, there's free patterns, there's, you know, like the psychedelic snowflakes, and, you know, all these other chats that are open and available for people to join. It's a wonderful community. And we have the virtual sewing room, which is really nice to go hang out in. And I try and get in there like once a week, but life for me sometimes is really busy and it just doesn't happen. So that's saying all that. We also have a Zoom sew date link where we join and sew for the day. And I don't want you bringing stuff that I've shown. I want you bringing stuff that is inspiring you. And if you don't feel inspired by quilting or sewing that day, you can bring your cross stitch or your tatting or your knitting or whatever you wanted to bring. And we'll just all sit and have fun. It'll be a great day. It's a very international community. We have people from all over, from Europe, UK, Canada, US. We had some people showing up from South America. We have New Zealand and Australia as well. And a couple of ladies from Indonesia showed up one time. They were so much fun. But yes, it is a lot of fun to come and sew with everybody. I speak for free. If you want to get hold of me, I have an email address in the About tab on the YouTube channel. I speak for free. I speak about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how much time I'm allowed. I do a question and answer period afterwards. I do a PowerPoint presentation, so I do them by Zoom only. I don't travel to these events or to these speaking engagements, because we're trying to keep the cost down for the guild or the quilting group, as well as myself. So, and it's a lot of fun meeting all these very talented quilters. I am just been enjoying that so much. So if you have a group that's looking for speakers, let them know about me. Get the word out. And the collaboration people are the 3 YouTube channels links in the bottom of the description box. You got to check those people out. The blocks that are coming out of that, because we're doing pattern testing right now, the blocks that are coming out of there are amazing. They're just beautiful. Like, some of them are really well thought out. They're just gorgeous. And we have some simple ones. We have some harder ones. We have some teaching moments. It's all going to be good. And it's something that's very doable. Now, if you're subscribing to all 4 of us, right, because there's the 4 of us, there, you know, it makes it easier for you for hopping around to go from channel to channel to see where the next one is or who's coming up next, right? But yeah, I'm so pleased that these other 3 very talented quilters and artists had agreed to do this collaboration with me, so I'm excited beyond belief. But anyways, let's come on in. Let's get to this sewing now. Okay, for this next part, you're going to have to go into the description box or the show notes to see what I've trimmed them now to. Now, I did get my pieces of wood cut. They're 3/4 inch dowel, and they're both cut to 24 inches long. We're not going to need them. That will be in part 3. Yes, there's 3 parts. Now, I also had to make binding for this, and that's also going to be in the show notes below. I had to get 6 feet. I went a little bit over. I went and did 7 feet of binding, right, for this bag. It almost takes as much binding as a quilt, you know. So anyways, these inner pockets, now what I did is I sewed them together so they would stay together. They would kind of like, that gives it a little more body, and you know, then it's not so much flopping around. So these are the inner pockets and those are the outer pockets. Again, I sewed them, you know, just along, I just use the lines, right, to sew them lightly in place, just so, and this creates its own self-binding because I sew them together with right sides facing each other, and then I just flipped over this piece right here on the edge to create fake binding, right? So now the other thing that happened was I did this. I made just a little bit of blue binding just to close off the ends of the bag that are going to be upright, the sides of the bag. And I've also marked the center of my bag, right? Okay, now, this is all quilted. And again, I just used the lines on the cloth. I didn't get crazy. It's about 1 inch apart just to give it some body, and it's got natural batting inside. Okay. And that you trim the body and the sides. Now, the body of the bag. Okay, the body of the bag. Well, the body of the bag, I've just I've just quilted lightly. Okay, now that's going to be on the outside. This is the inside of the bag. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out, you have to cut out a little handle, right? To put your hand in, right? So we're going to do that right now. And all I'm going to do is now I don't want to cut it out of the wrong side. So one side is 1 inch longer than the other, 1 inch or 2 longer than the other. So this is my longer side. This side is longer than the other. Let's just check to make sure, because once I start cutting, that's it. We're done. We're done. We can't check anymore. So, okay, so I got my ruler, right? So this is the side we're cutting. This side here. This side here is the edge. I just wanted to make sure, because if I'm cutting, I don't want to be all of a sudden cutting and going, oh no, that was wrong. Now what I'm going to do, very simply, is I'm going to fold them. Okay, I'll get this out of the way. I'm going to fold them so I cut out exactly in the middle of where I need to be this little hole. Now I'm making this hole 8 inches by 4 inches, and if I double it, then I know exactly where I am. I will have a little carved out area. I just have to do then a reverse binding, and I'm going to simply mark here with pencil as to where I have to cut. There we go. And I'm just going to cut here and here. Right, so now I have this line, and it's just above. So I'm just going to cut one at a time, because I'm hoping this goes the way I need it to go. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to stay on this side of the stitching. Okay, and there we go. So that's one piece that I've cut out. Now I'm just going to put that aside for now. And this is the other piece. I'm just going to hold that down in place. on my handy dandy pencil. So now I've got it centered. The handle is centered and it will go around this. Okay. So that's how I cut out 8x4 piece out of the center of this. There we go, right up to that edge. Now, a lot of this is pinning and finagling and praying that this works, because I'm not really comfortable at doing like all of the three-dimensional stuff that some people are doing. I used to sew clothes at one time. I haven't sewed clothes in a very long time. So what I want to do first is I want to lay out and pin my inside pocket to the green. In my case, this is where I'm the green. So the inside pocket's the smaller one. So I want to take one smaller one and one larger one. And for one side, there we go, get this all out of the way. And I'm going to move this ruler out of the way now. First off, I'm 5'8", and I'm not tall enough or long enough to actually grab anything in this sewing room. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down first. And I try to play with the center and make it the right size, and that's what we ended up with. So we're just going to lay that out. We're just going to loosely pin this there so it all stays in place. Okay. Now, I didn't want the layers too thick, right? Because then when everything is too thick, things start to go wrong, right? And my machine starts to complain. I do have my walking foot on, and I'm just trying to flatten that out a bit. Okay. And I need bigger pins. I need more bigger pins. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over just a hair. Just a hair. A little short, but it meets on the other side, but that's okay. All we want to do is catch this in that first seam, the first fake seam that we're gonna quickly run around and do. There we go. Here. So there we go. Okay, now we're gonna flip it over so the outside pocket gets pinned in place. Okay. Now, do I want divisions or dividers on that inside pocket? Because if I do, this is now the time to put them in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one just right upside, right, divide this in half for now. Okay. So, like I say, I got my walking foot on. I'm good. Just grab my... Okay. There we go. Stitch back, forward. And now I don't need that center pin. And I'm just going to stitch straight up that line. Now you're not going to see that on the outside because there's an outer pocket that will cover all that stitching that we just did. Okay, and we'll get to the other side. Get that. Okay. So now, I'll leave this out of the way. So now we're going to put the outer pocket on. And I think that division in there is kind of nice. You could do more than one. Now I'm going to do this. Hopefully this will all match up. And there we go. There we go, like just like so. And it's a little shy. Why is it a little shy? Well, if it's a little shy, that's okay, because I can just trim off a bit. That's fine. There we go. So now, what I'm going to do is I am going to quickly just sew it so I'm not fighting pins, right? Because that's part of this too. You don't want to be fighting a bunch of pins while you're trying to put binding on, right? Or the body on. So you just want to sew very gently in here just to keep it all together. And your pins are underneath, right? So you can kind of feel them coming. So pull them out before you hit them. Okay. Okay, there we go. And okay, now yes, pivot with the needle down. Okay, and you go right along that edge, catching everything, all the layers. Okay. And we keep going. Hitting with such cute cheater fabric. This is such cute cheater fabric. I was just like, I saw it and I was like, oh, that would be adorable. Okay. There we go. We'll get that off. Yeah, we get right to the edge and we pivot again. Ooh, we should make sure we took these other pins out, because I will find them with my foot or my hand. I'm not sure which. Okay, now we'll get the rest of this sewn up. Okay, there's a pin there. I should have took that one out. I just ran right over it. Whew. Okay, take this one out before I run it over. Here. Now, go back and forth a couple of times. So now our body, the body is finished. Pretty much, because we've got this great big one. We can put a sewing mat or an ironing mat in, or like a gray wool ironing mat or a cutting board or whatever on the outside. We've got 2 pockets on the inside for smaller little things. Now I'm going to cut here and do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so now we're ready to sew the bottom and sides onto our bag, right? But let's get first, okay, let's first get this pinned so we can see where the center is. And we're going to put that pin right here. Okay. So as we're pinning this now, so this is going, I'm only going to show you guys one side. Oh, the other important thing we have to do, because we're doing an inside corner here, we clip in about 1/4 inch just so that we can spread it out, right? And we just, like I say, just you clip in 1/4 inch just so it will spread out like that, you know. So it's not, there's not a lot of clipping because you're just doing an inside corner. That's the only thing that's going to be a little different. Now, okay, so now it doesn't matter which side. Okay, so we're going to start pinning from the inside, and we're going to put binding on all at the same time, because why not make this impossible? Ah! What we should do is I'm just going to do a basting stitch. So I'm lining up my the middles, right? And all I'm going to do is run a basting stitch. Now a basting stitch for me is like 8 stitches per inch without the binding. just to hold this in place. So we're not now fighting with the pins and the bulk and the, you know, everything. Like, we're just going to have this easy to maneuver, right? This is going to be easier to manage. And I'm going to pin away from that corner. Okay. Ouch. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a basting stitch on this first. So I'm going to crank her right down to 6 to 8 stitches an inch, which should give me a nice basting stitch. I'm going to stitch away from that corner. I'm going to pin away from the corner. Like, the corner is right here, but I'm going around the corner, right? So this is where it's going to be, right? So I'm just going to, I could pin, okay, just a sec. I could pin this. I could pin this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to the corner, and I can feel that corner with my fingernail. And then I'm going to turn and pivot that and get it out of my way. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew from here this way, right? Not from the other end with my basting. I'm going to just give it just a little bit here. Okay, so let's do a wee basting, and we're only doing a real skinny 1/4 inch. And we're going to go right over all those pins, nice and neat. Okay. I was going to pin, and I thought, no, I won't pin. I won't pin. Oh, because it'll create problems. Sometimes it'll create problems. Now, as you're pulling out your pins, that, you know, everything will get easier. There we go. Because the next step is putting on binding. And binding too, sometimes. Now, I'm just going to pull this way, all the way here, all the way straight out. And I'm going to stop about a 1/4 inch before the end of my binding. Or the end of the backing. Or the body, I guess is the correct term. And it's right there. So now I'm pivoting, and I've only got a 1/4 inch under. And I'm going to push this out of the way, just like you would a big, heavy, thick binding. And then, okay, that's down. Nice and slow. You're going to back up over that corner. There we go. And you're just going to go all the way up to the top. Now, to be honest with you, when I was putting the pockets in place for the body, and now we're going to back stitch over again. There we go. When I was putting those in, I had some issues with everything matching up, and I think it was the way I was measuring my quilted pieces, right? Because all of a sudden now my quilted pieces aren't matching up to the unquilted pieces. And there we go. Okay, so now, that's one corner. Now we're going to do the other corner, and we're going to go the other way. Now I can sew either direction on this vintage machine, right? So I'm just going to slip this under. There. Okay, so I'm going to start from just a bit over past the center, and I'm going to go this way, right? So let me get this all organized here. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to hop up over. There. 2 stitches back and forth. Nice and slow over those center pins. And it really doesn't matter now because they're not going anywhere. You pull them out. There we go. Pull out that pin. What you do is just sew right up to it and you pull it out. Now I know, oh, you guys are like, oh, there's nothing to see. What I've done is I put the bulk of the body in to here to base this in place. Now I go up to my pin, I pull it out. Okay, here we go. And we're in good shape so far. So far, so good. Now I'm going to, there's my finger, there where my finger is. Oh, come on, stop complaining. There we go. Okay, there is where the 1/4 inch is. Now, I'm going to sew it there. How do I do this? Okay, I'm going to sew this so that it comes straight up. Now that's totally backwards from what I would normally do, but we are putting on a bag together, right? We're not putting on a we're sewing a bag, right? So let's go forward a bit. Come on. Back. Forward. Back. There we go. Just so make sure we catch that corner good. And this thing got heavy very quickly. Huh. Now I'm staying within that 1/4 inch seam allowance, trying to catch everything, right? That's okay. There it is. I suppose I could have flipped it over and sewed it the regular way, but I want this to be all in the right spot. Okay, there we go. There, now we're going to go forward and backward because we're at the... Okay, there we go. So we got half the body attached to the sides. Half the body together. Okay, now okay, so this is all basted in place and caught all of the inside pocket, and you check to make sure the pocket didn't shift, but I mean it was also sewn in place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run around here with binding. Now I have made 7 feet of binding. Probably you know, you may or may not have needed more, but this is what I've done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew from this side. I want this side to be my good side. So I'm going to start on this side here so we get the body all done. And then I'll show you as we're going around how we get this inside, these inside corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my, I'm going to take just a bit of this out at a time. I'm not going to have it run all over the place. And this is where you would start to, oh, I guess that's not going to help, right? Okay, well, whatever. So, now I want this to be, this outside edge to be good, and then the inside can be what it is, right? I mean, it is what it is, what it is kind of thing. So, now I can do this with a 1/4 inch foot, but it's pretty heavy because there's a lot of bulk here as soon as we get to the body part. So I'm going to leave my foot on, my walking foot. I'm going to make sure everything is okay. And I'm going to do a healthy 3/8. I know that's not what I normally do, but the 3/8 will cover everything. Okay. The 3/8 will cover up all of the sins of assembly, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's closer to a 3/8 than more than a 1/4 inch, right? Okay, and I don't want that piece rolling around. Okay, so I want to make sure this corner too is flat and smooth out of the way as I go around, right? So There we go. There we go. And I'm going to crank up my stitches a little higher. Okay, so now and there. Now I'm going to sew this right until we could sew right off if we wanted to, but I'm going to, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew right off this edge. There. And now I'll get my little piece of plug. Okay, here. Now I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to flip this part of the body under and out of the way, right? So here we go. We're going to flip that out of the way. Sometimes you have to stop and just, you know, make sure that everything's going the way you need it to go. So this would go just like so. There we go. Now I have quite the hump to climb here, so it's a good thing I'm on my walking foot. There we go. You know, I couldn't believe when I measured how much binding I needed. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even know if I have enough fabric for that. But I did. I had just enough. I had a little bit more than I needed. And I said, okay, I'll make the whole thing just in case. You know, you never know when you're going to have an oops. Right? Okay. Now we're making sure everything's lying flat and that body is folded out of the way. Here. Now, I'm going to do my corner the way I normally do my corners. Because the original was rounded, and I decided I was going to... Okay, back. There we go. And now I'm pivoting with the foot down, the needle down, and I'm trying to move all of that body, the side piece, the bottom and the side piece, out of the way. So I create like a V. There we go. I'm doing all this to avoid bias binding. There we go. There. Now, just adjust every once in a while. You gotta sit and adjust and make sure everything's lying flat under where you are. Now, once we're past this pocket, all of the bulky bits are done. On the body, right? All the bulky bits. So now it becomes more there. So now then it becomes a very straight run piece to do, right? Okay. Now we're gonna do the handle. We're gonna do the handle next part. Everything to do with the handles is last part. Because you have homework again. I know. What do you mean homework? Okay, there. Now. Okay. Now I'm just moving this over here like so. Okay. Getting this nice and flat. Okay. give that there. Just nice straight little binding right to the next corner. Now, I put a new bobbin in here because I didn't want to run out of bobbin. Now, as we come up to that seam or that inside corner, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to open this up. As we get closer and closer to this, I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to try and stay a little bit more. Okay. There. Okay, now I'm just going to open that corner up fully. There we go. I'll go back and forth over it a couple times, right? Because it's just going to reinforce that corner. And now, let's race to the next one. Okay. There. Now you see it kind of pulls up, right? And that's exactly what you wanted to do here, is to pull up, because you've gone around a corner, right? And you look at the other side, yes, you've caught enough, and you're past that where you've clipped into, right? So now that I'm past, I'm going to stretch this wide open, and I'm just going to juggle this around a bit just to move. There we go. There we go. There. There. All the way to the inside corner, or the outside corner, I mean. 1/4 inch away. And yes, you've gone over that part. There we go. So you've got that now just exactly the way you need it. There. Now, last bit, you want to turn that corner. Oops. Oh no. Isn't it bad when you hear the person that's doing the tutorial to go, oh no? I just about dropped all the binding. Okay. Alright. Okay. Now, there's that back and forth, and I'm going to match this up a bit and cut off the excess, because they don't need all this binding here. So, where did that go? Oh no. Oh, here it is. Here. Oh. So I'm going to save the binding for the other side, and I'm going to take this off here right now and do a quick little joint. Now, there's several ways of joining these things. I mean, whichever way works for you best, that's fine. I just take this and I flip over this just at an angle, right? So I get a 45-degree angle. There. Now, what I do is I take this. Now, I can do a couple things. I can just turn this over because it's not a quilt, right? So I can turn it over, do a cute little, finger pressed half-inch seam, and then just tuck this in if I wanted. I mean, that's also acceptable, right? And I think that's what I'm going to do with this little project because I think it will work. And you don't want to lose this, so there. Now, let me just finish up this little bit. That's not how I would do a quilt, but this is how I'm going to do a bag. So it's your preference on what you want to do. Time. And you're going to go up to that end. Here we go. Catch the fabric on the other side and go where you started. Back and forth a few times. There. And we're done. That part. Okay. Now I'm going to cut. I'm going to try and do the other side to join them both all together, and I'll be back at the ta-da moment with both bodies attached to the bottom and sides. And that's where we're going to stop. Okay, so here's the quilt carrier so far. I've got both sides now on, and I've got the binding on both the body pieces there to be sewn in. Now, I went and rescued these pieces that we cut out of the handle, right? Do you remember those pieces that we cut out? And I have some extra binding. So we're going to make a little project out of this at the end of this, once this is done. And it will match your bag. And it will be cute, right? Because it has the inside as same as the outside. And I have some leftover binding. But you don't need a lot of binding for this project. But just so, make sure you keep them. Now, this is coming together really well. The inside is big and roomy, and I only put 2 pockets. Their inner pockets are both there. So you have homework, right? You have to finish putting on the binding. Now, your outside corners go just like you would a bed quilt. The inside corners are as well, just like a bed quilt, except in reverse. So you're going to make this seam go, the miter will go the other way. That's all. It's not hard. Now, what Connie had done with her quilt carrier is she sewed it in place. I'm going to suggest that you hand sew this, unless you're brave and you think that you can manage this under your sewing machine. I'm going to hand sew it in place. Just because the binding is only there to cover up the seams, because your seams are all on the outside. It's not there for structural support. But, I mean, if you want to put it under the sewing machine and just put it down and put it in place, that works. Now, the binding does match the body and the sides, so it would disappear. So if you did decide to stitch on this, it would be fine. You would not see it. You might see a little bit on the front, but that's okay. But I'm leaving that one up to you. Finish your binding, and then next time we do this, we're going to finish our handles. We're going to finish our handles and put them in the wooden handles. And we're going to finish a little side project, a little fun side project. So, until we meet again, I hope you have an absolutely dreamy and cheerful week ahead. Okay, you guys take care and stay well. All right, bye. My husband and I would love to thank you for watching in our video and being so supportive of our channel. This has been just such an amazing journey we're on here on YouTube, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So our thanks, truly our thanks for you. If there's anything you need, don't be afraid to contact me either through the Facebook book or through email. I'm trying to do as many viewer request videos as possible, and if I don't do it, you need to remind me, okay? So that's not a problem. But yes, it's been just absolutely amazing. Make sure you tell your gills I speak for free. We have a Facebook group. We do Zoom sew dates, and we give out nothing but free patterns. So I hope that you have an absolutely joyful year ahead and your sewing room, everything is going for you and life is great. Okay, you take care until we see each other again. Okay, bye.